question, this is an open time. We don't have a specific thing that we're planned to do. We go over the latest in AI news. Usually it only takes about 15 minutes, but there were a lot of questions when the HeyGen door got opened. And it's something that I think everyone in here should consider is how you're using video and the tools that are available for you to use, whether it's light editing or if it's creation, because these things can be used operationally internally for HR. They can be used for customer outreach. They can be used for social content. And even if you're not choosing to use them for social content, they can be used in other ways that might fit into your workflows. So if you have specific questions about your workflow or questions about tools that you want to use, please feel free to ask. Like, we give this time as an open space for you to ask questions and go a little bit deeper into the things um, that you're working on with the SOP that you're doing or a workflow that you're considering. And so let us know, like, specifically if there's anything else that you want to talk about. Because this is your time. Just like when you go to your professors for office hours. Oh, yeah. So Jewel said that she knows an ad specialist who's using the avatars to do client welcome videos, where she swaps out the name and she's using it to generate different hooks for videos that are already filmed to do A/B testing. And there's a tool called Pictory, and we've used Pictory to do something like that where I do a voiceover of the whole video, and then I swap out the first part because so I go speak in different places and they like to have a video introducing what I'm speaking about. So if I'm speaking on the same thing for a quarter, I'll record my little intro video. And then at the beginning, it'll say, hey, I can't wait to see you in Panama, or I can't wait to see you in Istanbul. And that's the part I change. And I've been using Pictory for that one. And Mark put the link to Pictory in there. We do have some videos on our YouTube channel where we go through Pictory and how we use that one. Does anybody want to share an SOP or workflow that you were working on from class last week?
I had a question, Nicole.
Yeah.
So in terms of like what we would share for the SOP, is it just like what ChatGPT generated? Is that like all we're doing right now? Or are we supposed to actually fill in like steps more?
Well, you would take whatever was generated as far as you got, put that in a Google Doc or whatever you use, and start to refine it. And then if there's places in there where you have questions, you're like, well, I'm not sure what tool to use in this spot, or I don't know how to connect these two things, but I have this idea of a thing I'd like to do. Then we can talk through what that process would look like, the tools that you would use, maybe some communication considerations in each step as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I initiated one. I'm on the business development side at HCMZ, and so I have a keen interest in how to put in workflows or build a workflow to help streamline the development of statements of work. The challenge is that no two statements of work are ever the same.
Mm-hmm.
But conceptually, it would be really amazing to have this modular library of all the different components that could go into an SOW and be customized based on the needs, based on the input gathered from those input calls. So I plugged it in and it gave me I think a pretty standard approach, but in my head, I'm thinking how do you actually crank this out, connect the right AI tools and make this into an automated workflow?
Yeah.
It's
There's
a little bit mysterious to me. It suggests some tools, but I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do you plug these all together? Where are the connection points? Obviously, there's a digital solution side of this that makes it all work together, which I'd have to
Yes.
communicate to our team. Yeah.
Well, so there's a couple ways you can do this because if you're using Jasper, so there's questions of Jasper in the chat, and maybe Andrea can show this. Andrea and are very well versed in Jasper. Marikar spends the most time in there. Um, but if we took it to a tool like Jasper, you can grab all those knowledge-based pieces. You could actually keep all of that knowledge. So there's a couple ways. You could build your own agent and put all those SOWs in your own agent and have it produce a new one for you based on the new parameters. And that would be simple enough because you need the knowledge base with all the old SOWs in it. You can't, there's several ways technically to construct this. And if you had a subscription to Jasper, Andrea, do you want to show the groups in Jasper? Can you pull it up?
I think the point here is that I hold a lot of the knowledge of how to rapidly build SOWs because I'm in it every day.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to socialize that more and make it more accessible or democratize like
So we'll show you how to do that in this tool.
Cool.
Yeah. Because then the knowledge base just isn't you, it's owned by everyone.
Yep, exactly. That's
everyone that has access. So let's go to a group. Do you know a group that has a knowledge base? Does Acton have theirs?
We haven't built their knowledge base within there because we've been with Jasper so long that our knowledge base is one large knowledge base, and we begged them for years to make it so that we can organize the knowledge base by our clients. But if they're an older client, then they still remain, in the bigger pool.
Could
so
you
is the foundation that you plug in all of your like all the statements of work you've ever created, or as many as possible that demonstrate all the different types of client engagements, and then so it just taps into that and can automatically build out. I see.
And can you like maybe back up a step too? Because like I have heard of Jasper, never used it. So what is a knowledge base in the context of this tool?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, Jasper is a marketing content creation tool, which means it could be social media, it could be SOWs, it could be job postings, it could be blogs, social media posts. I mean,
press releases,
emails.
Okay.
So what we do is, for us, we create knowledge base. Knowledge base is like your source of truth. So it's where you're telling the tool to look for context. So in the case of a new client, what we usually start with is their website. So we would feed the link to their website here, which would then help us create a brand voice. If they had other documents we could use for their brand voice, we could certainly feed that in. But the easiest, most basic way is to take someone's website to get an idea of their brand voice. So that's where we would start. It gives us an idea of what their voice is. You can make changes. They give you excerpts. So you've got, for each business, a brand voice. You've got different pieces of knowledge. So whether that's the website or resources and guides, it really depends on the client, but you can also tag these things in different ways. Let me hover over where it's like company information, product information. You can tag it with the name of the client, which is what we used to do before we had the capability of making separate knowledge bases. But what I love about the new way of doing it, so in particular, like this client here, we can, excuse me, add knowledge to this client and it stays here instead of being in that bigger bucket. But you can also assign, so Jewel, you can see Acton, but Brian, you can't. And Seth, you can see Acton also. And so you can determine, especially at an agency level, this is why we wanted it so much, is like if we have a person that handles these 5 clients, then probably they should just have access to this, unless somebody else needs to, and that's fine too, but we can control it, where before it was everybody has access to everything. So if you're dealing with a client that has specific financials, or maybe it's your business itself that you don't want everybody reading these things, that you can set these different levels or roles. You also have audiences. This is a newer one, so we don't have anything built in here yet because they just came up with this, but it will help you find your audiences, helps you do research on your audience so you can apply these different audiences to your content. And the idea of all this stuff in this Jasper IQ area is for context. It's to inform your content. It's So instead of like if you're on ChatGPT and you're asking it a question, it's going to go out and look everywhere. In here, if you build your knowledge and brand voice and all these things, you could keep it inside a box of just read this information. Like I want to answer, let's say I wrote a book and I want every piece of content I write have to do with that book. So it has to be in that book. It has to be factual in this book, not just somewhere on the internet. And it follows the formatting. It could, have, if there are illustrations or images or things like that, it can pull from there. So you really have control over what the tool is using to create whatever content you're creating.
Yeah, and there is an app section in here. You can create, they call it apps, and I would liken those to agents. You can create your own app to do something. So you could create an SOW app and you can automatically have it pull in pieces of information into that. And you can have it auto ask questions by whoever's making the SOW. It will automatically ask them a set of questions based on what you put in there. So you might need to enter the new client's information, and there's probably some sort of an interview, and maybe you upload that piece of information, and you're using the SOW app, but you're pulling, and so it would have the knowledge from there. And then you would probably pull in the voice of HDMZ, and maybe you pull in the client voice because, or prospect voice, because that would make it stand out a bit more if it uses their language, their values, those sort of things.
Mhm.
And you can create your own apps within here. You can also have a simple chat conversation and tag pieces of knowledge to get outputs if you want. But these different apps, they have apps for creating a press release. Like if you look at their app store, it's almost like agents to create all of these different things, all the different products. And then this also has an API that's really open. So if you, let's say, let's say use Read AI. Once Read AI notes, you could do something where Read AI gathered the information from the phone call, and maybe you have a notes document that you keep, but Read AI would automatically push it into your Google Drive. And that folder, once something new is in that folder, it could then automatically be triggered. Like that would be the trigger to go to Jasper to use the Jasper SOW thing. And it'll pull the information from the phone call notes, from the transcript, and create an initial SOW. And it could put it in draft format for you.
Into a company template as well.
Yeah, that would be part of the app.
That's cool.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
pretty
might,
powerful.
yeah, you may then, like if you wanted to do some other editing with it, send it to Canva or send it to Google Docs again. It's this combination with the AI and automation and then the human checkpoints, because of course you want to manually review your SOW because you want to make sure that the context is right, it's inclusive of everything. But the manual work is done for you. And so that's the sort of thing that if you want to do it, I'd map out your SOP of like, this is how we create a SOW now.
Mm-hmm.
These are the tools that we use. This is the process that we use. Because do you take notes on a phone call that goes into a document that then turns into an SOP and it's a person writing it?
Use AI companion in Zoom to get the meeting takeaway notes, and then could use something like ChatGPT to further summarize it and expand on the key takeaways and action items. And then look at like the next follow-up questions. There's typically a follow-up meeting and we have more questions that get answered. We try to collect as much input as possible. It's often the case we're in, 2 30-minute meetings and we're asked to scope out significant engagement. So we do our best, but we use data too. We've had so many engagement examples in our project management software that we can go back and look at hours and costs associated with it that we also map against too to do estimates as well.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of things to get there. It's multi-touch.
And And that's the idea of doing your SOPs right now and thinking about that, Seth.
Mhm.
So if you really want to focus on the SOW, or at least getting it to like 80-90% of the way, someone checks it and finishes it up,
Yeah.
like that's what you need to think about. How does it happen? We
Mm.
have 2 30-minute calls. So there's the capability of note takers. There's, think about all those things involved in the process prior to creating that SOW. And then also what you normally do when you are creating them, like that's what you want to be thinking about. So yes, we all
Okay.
start with like the SOP creator in ChatGPT, and that's more to get you started, kind of like when you're painting, the blank canvas is the hardest to start on, right? So that gets you a few steps ahead. But you, Seth, you know what your actual process is. And so that's the changes, Jewel, that you would make in the Google Doc or add to it or eliminate parts. Or if you want to tell ChatGPT that you use the Zoom companion, and then it will include that in there. So that's this whole define thing is actually what is your process. And
Yeah.
most of our processes are stored here. And
Yeah.
so this exercise is to get it out of there onto a list of some sort. This is also why we do these labs, so we can show how other people are using it. So if you didn't even think before that you could use HeyGen for videos to onboard employees, or I don't know, whatever the case is, then you can think about that and say, oh, wait, I should put that into here. So maybe when we deliver an SOW, we send a message, a customized message to the client. Hey, Nicole, hope you're doing great. I just finished your scope of work. Here it is. Take a look. Let us know if you have any questions. You could totally do that.
Yeah, I have a colleague who does that now with their proposals, and they actually explain it, and they create a video in HeyGen because they have, like, you could have Jasper make a script, feed it to HeyGen. HeyGen does the video and then sends the email, and you could have that like AI'd and automated as part of the SOW process. Enrique is asking what model backs up Jasper. Jasper's got 12 models behind it.
Actually, there's more now. I saw
Oh,
the other day the
oh,
number
you
was
did?
really high. Yeah. I'll find it and let you know. It's more than that.
Yeah, because they started out where it was like one model, then 3 models, then 12 models. And they use different models for different purposes in it. So it's like their SOP of creating stuff for us on the back end goes through different models too.
Does the information stay in Jasper if you set up a knowledge base? I know that you said it'll learn off of that, but does it stay contained in that, or does
Yeah,
it go?
Yep.
it stays in that.
Okay.
It's your own, as we call it, your own sandbox, your own protected area, because you have to pay for Jasper. So you get an environment. And depending on what we have, the enterprise level, so that's why we have so many brand voices and so many
So much knowledge.
so much knowledge in the knowledge base, because depending on what level you're at, you get, I think initially you get like 10 pieces of knowledge, 3 brand voice, and whatever the minimal numbers are. But yeah, it's a great tool, especially for an agency. And when we started using it, they weren't really talking about that. And like all the things that we wanted them to add all had to do with the fact that we wanted to separate client work and the knowledge and all of that. So it's great to see
Yeah.
it happening now.
And yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a question. So one of the main problems we have in terms of using AI is to obtain deterministic results with AI. For example, I don't know, we make a workflow agent or whatever to create a document that should be should have the same kind of wording and the same format.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find that AI or some AI agents are just creating different results for different users because basically you cannot set the temperature of the model when working with the tool. So I was wondering if with
That's
Jasper,
exactly what Jasper is for. It's built for marketing, for consistent language, for consistent outputs. It still, though, is an AI tool. So what Crystal gets and what I get will follow the same rules in context, but we won't get the same result because Jasper is also a tool that is designed to not, it's like 99.9% plagiarism free, which I think is actually more like
Yeah,
100%. So the actual results will be different, but they will all be within the parameters you set. It's not like just going to ChatGPT or another tool. Even if you are using ChatGPT in the background, there's this whole other level, which is what Jasper's magic is being able to control what that looks like, what information it's looking at, and what words it's using or not using, your tone of voice or the brand's tone of voice, formatting, all of it.
And is that because Jasper AI is already pre-trained with kind of
No, you give it
marketing
the knowledge. You give it the knowledge to inform the copy.
with the document database, right?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't remember exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
and so
And
it works really, really well for the niche content because you can upload. So we worked with a client that made winches and capstans for oceanographic research vessels and tugboats. And these are highly technical articles that, our team was hired to write. We know nothing about winches and capstans. We don't have that expertise on our team, but because we took all their product specs and all the information about the history of their company, we could write articles that their engineers reviewed and they pass. And so it makes a big difference in the quality of content that you're putting out there. And you can have that extremely specific niche content. And, so like engineers, doctors could read the content after you produce it, and we can have a junior person doing it, but it's because of the tool and the knowledge that's in there and their voice that's in there.
and about the output format. So let's say that, I mean, the whole company needs to have the same format for certain documents because of legal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Jasper able to produce documents in certain format, like, a PDF with certain format, or maybe a Google Doc in certain format, or it's
Yeah.
something that you just have to copy and paste somewhere else.
No. You'd put it in there and you put your rules. You would put, I mean, you can even get down to the Oxford comma, as detailed as you want on what your specifications or your requirements are, and it will produce that. You just have to make sure your instructions are clear. So if it's required to be in a certain format, that's a piece in your knowledge base, and you tag that piece of knowledge when you're working on the output.
Okay, but it is about text format. I'm asking more about the actual file format. I mean, this is the header, this is where the image are being.
The actual output just comes out inside of Jasper as copy, but it's copy that will be marked as like H1, H2, H3. And then you from there can copy and paste it into another document, or you could share it within Jasper. So they also have the capabilities to put a document on draft or in review or needs revisions. And there's all these levels. You can do all of that through Jasper as well. Otherwise, if you're using, say, Google Docs and you only use Google Docs, then you would just copy and paste it into a Google Doc.
Got it. Thank you.
Although if you had the API, you could tell it to come out in a certain way. So it definitely is possible to do that. Most people just don't get to that level, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah. There are a couple questions just in the chat that I was noticing about the portal, and everybody should have received an invitation. Sometimes they go to spam, and the portal contains the class. So the recording is uploaded to that portal. And then there's also a video to watch about Zapier that's in there. and so the past recordings will get put in there. You'll have access to it for a while, and there are some resources in there. And check your junk mail or spam, because for some reason those links often go in there. Sender subject line, that's a good question. Do you know what that is, Andrea?
No, but I can look.
Yeah, because it should be from AI Smart Insiders. And it should say portal in there too, if you did a search for AI Smart Insiders and portal. Because then you can, like Brian, you can watch the session from last time. And I think there's something with the link to the custom GPT. Markar, will you post that in the chat? So if you weren't here, you can get the custom GPT. And then start working on your workflow and SOP.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Christina, it did go into your spam. So she put that in the chat about what it looks like.
Okay,
And
great.
then in the portal, there's also community. And in the community, you can post and ask questions and have one-on-one chats with us too. So if you wanted to put something up there, then Markar monitors the community and answers questions, and then lets us know if there's something that we need to go in and answer, so that we're always available for you in that format. And then if you ask a question, we like to have it be in the group, because then everybody can see what the answers are as well, because there will be a lot of people having the same questions. We've got 5 minutes left. Do we have a last question, comment?
Sorry, just one other thing. I just tried to drop that into the subject line, but it didn't come up. So if there's
It will
any-
have your name in the front of welcome.
Yep. I took that out.
Okay.
Awesome.
And it didn't come up. Okay. Let me
Did you look in spam?
I just did a search in my email.
Brian Anderson.
Sorry to be the problem child.
No, you're good.
And if you have trouble, we can send you a magic link to log into it too.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And the homework for this class that we're having tomorrow morning is to come prepared with a workflow or SOP that you want to apply AI and or automation to. The one thing that you want to tackle, and that your outcome of that. So we're going to have the outcome of it may be an agent, it may be an automated something or another, but we want to help you solve an SOP, and have it AI'd and automated as much as possible. And so tomorrow, if you can work on it tonight, tomorrow or tomorrow morning, come with the SOP that you want to work on, and we'll try to get through as many people's SOP as possible. And we'll walk through it and look at the process, the technology that you're using, the technology you might need to use to do it. And then also the communications that will need to happen in there. So then we'll have your SOP as it is, show up to class tomorrow with that, and we'll review as many as we can and then refine them a bit more, so then you could start to implement the AI and automation. We have Evan from our team or Ethan, Evan. He's sorry. Evan, this is a early morning. Evan is going to be here next Thursday, and then he'll be in 2 office hours. So Friday, because it's Juneteenth on Thursday. So we're having class on Friday, which we're going to announce that tomorrow too. There's just a little oversight on our part. So we'll do class on the Friday the 20th, and he'll be in that class, and he'll be in the next Thursday after that, and he'll be in the labs after those two. And he's the technical person on our team, and he will help you to troubleshoot any Zap issues you might have or N8N issues you might have. And we learned Enrique on the team has experience with that too, that is in here on the Zoom. So we want to make sure that you're set up technically to know what you need, even if you're not the one to implement it, but that you understand how these tools work and how things connect to each other so that we can just, take a load off and make the processes easier for you.
And Brian, I sent you a message in the chat, but I sent you a magic link directly to your email. So you should have actually got an automated one from info@AI Smart Insiders, but just in case, I also sent it from my email address.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see.
And if anybody else needs that, just let me know.
Spam. Got it.
Yeah.
We're safe.
Oh, Dennis Moore, HDMZ, also needs the magic link
Oh, okay. Where are you seeing the messages? They're not coming up in the chat.
in the chat.
Yeah, I don't.
Me too.
Weird.
Who just said that?
Seth, I can't find it. I looked, I scoured my email history.
Seth and Dennis.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Seth, yours is on its way.
And so just so you know, there's this little conversation going on, but HDMZ is using N8N because you can't use Zapier because of HIPAA. It's not HIPAA compliant. So if you have to be HIPAA compliant, you can use something like N8N, and you can even host it on your own computers. So it could be completely private and secure and not attached to the outside world. And those are N8N is something used to connect these different tools together like Zapier is.
Dennis, your link is also on the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Can I ask one question really quick?
Mhm.
How do you know when an SOP really needs to be broken into two SOPs?
In my experience, it just keeps going. So my suggestion would just be to start somewhere and then worry about that later, unless you see it's like a huge part that you want to focus on, because they really do start like, here's an SOP, and then step 1 through 10 all have their own SOPs, and then steps under there have that. So like, try not to be that like micro yet, just at least for this first part, so we can get like a basic flow set up, and then you can work on the stuff underneath. But yeah, it's kind of endless.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, but no thanks, right? I know. It's like one SOP leads to 10 more SOPs, leads to 20 more, and yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay if an SOP has 26 steps. It's great because the more clear you are on the instructions, and sometimes you can give a whole 26-step SOP to AI and it does a really great job with it. You just want to get clear on what it takes to get the output that you want to get. So how we get there, that's what we can work on together.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thanks for all your questions today. And I will see you tomorrow morning/afternoon, depending on your time zone. It'll be first thing for me.